So when I was growing up in Nagaland, as a young, I would say, as a young upcoming preacher, I was still in high school, and my mother belonged to home visitation group, and they were all women. And after church, instead of coming home, all of those 20-something women went to visit a home or two before she came home. And I remember she asked me, "Son, could you come and preach today?" I said, "Yeah." So I went with all this 20-something women to a home, and they had another worship service right after another big worship service. And this is what she said. "Today, I brought you a special speaker, and he's my son, and he will preach." Ooh, I felt so good. So you see, I was upcoming, young preacher, but there wasn't too many role models that I was striving to become somebody. But there was this one unique local preacher man. He was trained by the British, and eventually he came to Boston University, and he came back. He was almost like, looked like a Britisher's. He was tall, and he was fair, and he was just handsome, and he was just bombastic. When he spoke, it just sounded like a roaring lion, and people just stood there and listened to this guy, and so I had tremendous admiration for this guy. He was such a towering figure. We Asians are not that tall people, So, but he was, this tall, so he would just tower around everybody, whether the person was a politician or a bureaucrat or military officers or some militia people who are armed to their teeth. He would still be able to put his arms around and then talk to the guys. And he would often say, "Do the right thing for the sake of your people." Isn't that great? Whatever the controversy is, whatever size of pie you are trying to gain out of this political turmoil, for goodness sake, for the sake of your own people and your own existence, he would calmly say to these people, "Do the right thing." That would just, make me wonder about this guy. 1981, I was traveling between Nepal and Nagaland. I was in the bus, quietly minding my business in the corner. And as people are embarking and disembarking, I heard Reverend Longri. His name was Reverend Longri. Reverend Longri had passed away. And everybody is basically, kind of sad, kind of dejected, and, weren't even able to say how they really felt. And I was the same thing, sitting in the corner in a very tight space and beginning to wonder, what do I say to God? Who is there out there, somebody who really can represent and be that person of integrity and character and speak to everybody with the same tone of voice and tell them, do the right thing for the sake of the people? So I prayed, God, thank you for this man. And then I said, God, if I might beseech you today, would you give me the spirit and boldness and tenacity that this man had? Can you give me that? Maybe I can do something with the gifts that he had. In other words, I was also praying what Elijah and Elisha was talking about. Could you possibly give me the mantle of this guy so that I can also fruitfully, peacefully, faithfully do the things that he had done? Isn't that powerful? So our passage today is about Elijah and Elisha. Now, last Sunday I told you that Elijah was a mountain man. I'm a mountain man. When I was growing up, we played Tarzan in the jungles because we had no Great America or Universal Studio or Knoxbury Farm to go and hang around. We went to jungle. He was a jungle man, and kind of nice to know that there was a jungle man in the Old Testament. So Elijah had become a mentor to Elisha. Elisha was Elijah's disciple. And as you can see, they were strolling around and somehow walking away from Gilgal, and suddenly, and then of course, this is happening. All this is happening just before God was ready to take Elijah home. This reminds me of something. There are only two figures in the whole Bible, from New Testament, Old Testament, and New Testament. There are only two persons went to heaven before they died. Enoch was one. And Genesis talks about he lived 350 years before God just took him because he was a man of faith. And then Elijah. Elijah was a man of faith, and so God was about to take him to the heavens. And so, when you know this might just be the last day with your son or daughter or with some junior officers or your coworker, what would you say to those people? If you had an opportunity, this is my last day, I may not be here tomorrow, I want to have a conversation with you. I'm going to take you out to McDonald's, and we're going to sit down and we're going to have some serious conversation about this. Right? This is what is happening. Elijah and Elisha are walking together, walking away from Gilgal, and then Elijah says, hey, God is calling me for some errand, to run some errands. He wants me to go to Bethel. And Elisha says, I'm not going to stay here. It's kind of too late. You can't tell me, wait for me here. That's not going to happen. As long as God lives and you live, I'm going to live, I'm going to follow you. It's my kind of man. He says, no, I'm not going to stay here. I'm going to follow you. And so, Elisha and Elijah went down together. And as soon as they got there, people, prophets, leaders quickly came to Elisha. Hey, do you know that your master is going to leave you today? And Elisha said, yeah, I know, but I don't want to talk about it. You and I will probably say the same thing, right? If somebody's, going to disappear, vanish, or die, you don't want to have a conversation. You are trying to mourn, right? You're trying to say some parting thoughts. And Elisha is saying, yeah, I know. He'll be gone. I know. But I don't want to talk about it. So, and then Elijah says again that somehow God is calling me to go down to Jericho. Shoot. Another one? If I was Elisha, I will say, what do you mean God is telling you to go to Jericho? And Elisha, his mind have not changed. He's still very steady in his thoughts. And he said, I'm not going to stay here. As long as your God lives and my God lives, I'm not going to stay here. I am going with you. So, Elijah and Elisha went down to Jericho together. And then Elisha confronts the same kind of people. Hey, do you know your master is leaving? I know, just leave him alone, or leave me alone kind of stuff, right? And then it happens for the third time. Man, if it happens to me for the third time, I'll be wondering what in the world is happening here. So Elijah said, now God wants me to go to Jordan. But God is somehow bringing this event to a closer, but in a very, Jordan is biblical. He is not going to stay around, hang around somewhere in the desert and wait for his master to come back. No, he says, as long as God lives, your God lives, I'm going with you. I'm going to Jordan with you. And this time, there are several others that came along, but they watched the stories unfold from a distance. But something really powerful is going to happen here. I don't know our stories of faith from the Old Testament to the New Testament. Everything seems to come in threes. I don't know, because maybe we are Trinitarian people. I don't know. Somehow, God called Samuel 3 times, And then, in the New Testament, we have this, Jesus talking to Peter, you're going to deny me different times. And I go, really? And then after the resurrection, Jesus comes and stood before Peter. And, Peter and his friends went fishing, and they caught a lot of fish. And Jesus had some breakfast with them. And then he says, do you love me more than this? And Jesus asked Peter 3 different times. And for the third time, Peter was a little annoyed. Jesus, I told you this. Yeah, I love you. And Jesus said, feed my sheep, right? Take care of people. Take care of the church. So three seems to come again and again, and the same thing here, between Elijah and Elisha. And so Elisha took his clothes and his coat and rolled it up, and he was going to hit the water with his coat. And then when he did, the Jordan River parted just like the Red Sea. And it has some very meaningful stories that we can tell about the parting. It's going away, new life, new promises, new commitment, new trajectory in life. Something is unfolding, and then once they're here, Elijah said to Elisha, so what do you want from me? What can I do for you right now? Before I leave, before I vanish, before the whirlwind comes with the chariots and take me to heaven, what do you want me to do? How can I help you? Right? That's a pretty hefty question. And Elisha gave a pretty hefty answer as well. I want double portion of you. Wow. I want double portion of you. I want to be like you. I want your legacy to live on. I don't want you and me to be the end of the road. I want this legacy to live on long after you and I are gone. I want to be an influence to others just like you. And so give me the double portion of who you are. Bless me, give me. And so as Elijah is going up, he dropped the mantle, right? And Elisha took it. And guess what he does? First thing he does is he goes back to the bank of the Jordan River. He's going to try it out. He's going to see, he want to see if really is going to happen. If what I asked was given to me, if this mantle will really do the miracle that my master had done. That's kind of a scary move, right? But he does it. He did it. Almost like a whipping the water. And then the Jordan parted. my master honored me with a mantle, passing of the mantle. I wonder what kind of lesson we can leave this morning with this story. What kind of legacy do you want to leave behind? None of us are promised tomorrow, right? None of us do. And so, what do you want to leave behind? How well people that you have influenced or had an influence will live on with some kind of inspiration that you gave them. You know, it's something that we all need to be thinking about. We as a church need to be also thinking about what kind of legacy do we want to leave behind at this Sun City United Methodist Church. I do not want this United Methodist Church die when I die. Right? There are a lot of churches on that brink of closing because some group don't want anything to change and happen for the new generation to come so that to revitalize the church and have a different missional focus and trajectory, you know. And so I was in one church, and the council of the church basically verbatim told me, Pastor David, do not change anything until we die. That's verbatim. Do not change anything until we die. Once we are dead, you can do whatever you want to do. And I said, when you die, this church will die, and I will have nothing to do. Think about it. What kind of reality do we want to leave behind? Do we want to present to others? So, ponder. Prayerfully ponder. Because all of us can be influencer just like Elijah. And you and I probably have somebody looking after you and I just like Elijah. If you look back, I'm sure there was some Elijah in your life who prayed for you, who took care of you, who blessed you through your youth fellowship or worked with you as a mentor in your confirmation class. Think about it. They were Elijah for you. Now, I can be Elijah for somebody. We can pass on the mantle to somebody. Right? So, that's the end of my sermon for today. And I know God will bless us because we are here to learn and be blessed. Amen?